of America, and they don't like most of the Trump voters because they are Americans. And De Niro, how stupid is he without a script? Isn't that amazing? I used to think, wow, that guy's brilliant. But once you take the words away from him, he is so stupid. Then when he says, impeachment will make America great again, and everybody's, how intellectually deprived he is. He's a coke-addled simpleton, without a script. It is hysterical.
Greg Gutfeld didn't just answer Robert De Niro. He totally destroyed him with words sharper than any movie script ever made. In less than 5 minutes, Gutfeld tore apart De Niro's tough guy image that he still holds onto like it's the 90s. What was supposed to be a big comeback for De Niro turned into a total public embarrassment. Gutfeld was like a wrecking ball, full of humor and truth that hit harder than any joke ever told. He cut through De Niro's proud attitude and turned years of fake outrage into a running joke hotter than his latest movie failures. This wasn't a nice chat. It was a roast. And De Niro stood there shocked as Gutfeld, with his smirks and strong facts, exposed how empty his loud anger really was, leaving him completely speechless.
Last night, an elderly, confused man went missing in New York. Luckily, a band of self-satisfied elitists found him babbling on the street, threw some pants on him, gave him a stage.
Oh my God.
I'm going to say one thing. Trump.
It kills me. Talk about persuasive. Really, I was on the fence about Trump, but then I decided to really listen to one of the great generational leaders of American pop culture. And the clenched fist at the end, that really drove it home. It looked like he was pressing a 2-pound weight in a Jenny Craig commercial.
Oh my God.
Look at it again. It's so cute.
Greg Gutfeld didn't come to make small talk. He came swinging like a storm of words. He wasn't there to be polite. He came to show the truth about Hollywood's fake goodness and lies. And right in the middle of it all stood Robert De Niro, the man who calls himself the moral leader of fancy Hollywood people. This is the same man who thinks shouting political stuff while wearing a tuxedo makes him a hero. But Gutfeld didn't need cameras or flashing lights. He only needed a sharp brain, a tongue like a sword, and 3 minutes of pure common sense. That's all it took for him to tear apart De Niro's huge ego into tiny, shiny pieces and make the crowd laugh like crazy.
Robert De Niro's 29-year-old child, Aaron, has come out as transgender. When the press asked her for comment, she said, "You talking to say them?"
If you're loving this video, don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that bell for more fiery fun like this. It all started the usual way, with Robert De Niro acting like he's the angry voice of America again. Another interview, another meltdown, another over-the-top drama that felt more like a failed movie audition than truth. You couldn't help but wonder, is he trying to win an Oscar or just get front-row seats at the next Democratic event? There he was, spitting out words like someone mad that people dare to think without asking his permission.
And the star of Dirty Grandpa, Robert De Niro, getting censored by The View after raging like a bull who saw a red MAGA hat.
And they might think that it's going to make their life better, or they just want to, excuse my French, literally, it's almost like he wants to do the worst that he could possibly do to show this country.
Jesse, I find that he's smartest when they drop his audio.
Then came Gutfeld, cool, calm, and wearing that trademark smirk that said, "This is about to go viral." He started with a perfect joke. De Niro's not really acting anymore. He's just a loud Yelp review in a suit. The audience exploded with laughter. Not even a helpful Yelp review, more like one of those all-caps angry ones about a bad coffee lid. The panel howled, but Gutfeld wasn't done. He kept roasting, every line sharper and funnier than the last, turning De Niro's anger into pure comedy gold.
They can't see it themselves, and they're not surrounded by people telling them that they have a problem, and they lack self-awareness because everybody either tells them they're wonderful or wants to sell. So he has no clue what he's doing, and he's over the emotional nature. His anger is emotional about Trump. nothing practical.
It was amazing to watch. De Niro, once a big movie legend who played deep characters, had now become one angry old man yelling at clouds, like the weather owes him something. But this wasn't just jokes. Gutfeld was showing the truth in a funny way, and everyone watching could see it. The once cool movie star had turned into that one uncle who ruins family dinners by preaching politics like it's holy. Gutfeld laughed and said, "I love De Niro in Taxi Driver and Goodfellas, but maybe his best acting was pretending he could play anything besides angry guy." Now every time he talks, it sounds like a school drama student's fake political play. Gutfeld leaned in for the final hit. He said he wants to punch Trump in the face. Punch Trump? From a man who hasn't thrown a real punch since it needed stuntmen and CGI. The crowd went wild, a total knockout moment.
Of course, the real story is how accusations of Trump's nutty behavior always ends up with the accusers acting nuttier. De Niro calls Trump crazy as he goes crazier. Adam Schiff calls Trump a liar as he makes up quotes. Dems talk about undermining institutions as they try to undermine an election. But when asked for reasons why Trump shouldn't be president, all Bobby had were sputtering F-bombs. His resistance had run out of script.
Let's be real. If De Niro ever tried to punch anyone now, his shoulder would probably quit on the spot. The studio burst into laughter. Gutfeld smiled and said with a grin, "Let's talk about real courage." De Niro screams about a president who's not even in office, surrounded by fans who cheer like he's saving the world every time he curses. That's not bravery. That's pretend courage with a side of tantrums. And the funny part? The media treats him like a hero, like shouting the same ideas as every rich actor makes him some kind of fighter for freedom. Please. De Niro's version of resistance is yelling at a screen while wearing $4,000 shoes. Gutfeld just shook his head at the circus.
It's a good time to reflect on how Americans fought and died so that we may enjoy the freedoms guaranteed to us by a democratic government. A government that, as President Lincoln said, "Of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth." Under Trump, this kind of government will perish from the earth. I don't mean to scare you. No, wait, maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms goodbye.
Have you ever noticed how these Hollywood stars love to talk about the people, but never live like them? When was the last time De Niro stood in line at the DMV, bought his own groceries, or flew coach? Gutfeld took a sip of coffee, raised an eyebrow, and went for the big one. De Niro says Trump supporters are dangerous, he said. But this is the guy who built a career playing killers and crooks. Now, he thinks a red hat is the problem? What a joke. At this point, Gutfeld wasn't just roasting. He was exposing the truth about fake celebrity morals. And here's the punchline. If you don't agree with De Niro, you're suddenly a bad person, according to the same guy who starred in Dirty Grandpa. The crowd couldn't stop laughing.
Idiot is the president. The guy is a fool. Our government today, with the prompting of our baby-in-chief, has in chief, I call him.
That's some reliable source you got there. This is what moms call bad language, or what producers call great TV. The plan, get an irrational figure at peak derangement and goad him into snapping. It's like cabaret for the chronically obsessed.
De Niro doesn't even talk anymore. He grumbles like an old raccoon fighting a leaf blower. Ask him a simple question, and he acts like you've insulted his coffee. Gutfeld ended the segment with a huge finish, saying the truth loud and clear. De Niro isn't mad because of Trump. He's mad because people stopped pretending his opinion matters. He's bitter because he knows his fame has faded. He peaked in the 90s, and now the only time he gets invited on shows is when Sean Penn's busy. Gutfeld smiled like a winner. De Niro tried to jump into politics, but got knocked down by jokes and facts.
Robert De Niro graced the knitting circle in hell known as The View. He tried to link random thoughts into a sentence. Joy was there to wind him up, since he's played some of the most unredeemable characters.
You have played some of the most really unredeemable characters. Travis Bickle was a psychopathic taxi driver. Jake LaMotta, who used to beat his wife, and he was in The Raging Bull. Is Trump worse than they are?
To me, he has no understanding that I can see of the outside world other than anything around him. He has no idea of what his purpose in life is, as the president should be, and that is to pull the country together, to be for the people, to heal wounds, not to open them up and pour salt on them.
De Niro clearly has thought about this, more so than his career. His choice of roles is now down to cinnamon and lobster.
Gutfeld didn't have to yell or curse. He beat De Niro the old-fashioned way, with humor and truth. Ironically, that's what De Niro used to be great at. But this time, real life wrote the script, not Hollywood. And De Niro wasn't the star, he was the joke. The funniest part? De Niro actually thinks he's a big threat, not the movie gangster kind, but the Twitter warrior kind. Gutfeld laughed and said, "I get it. De Niro wants to matter, but now the only thing he's fighting is time." The man who once cared about real acting now stars in movies no one wants, and when they flop, he blames politics instead of the truth. People just don't care anymore.
Instead, he's obsessed with these hypothetical what-ifs that Trump is going to keep hold on to power. None of these things are true.
The panel couldn't stop laughing, not because it was mean, but because it was true. Gutfeld then changed tone a bit, sounding half serious. De Niro keeps calling Trump a bully and a danger to democracy, he said. But his whole plan is to threaten people and growl, like someone woke him up too early. If that's moral authority, Gutfeld joked, then I'm a vegan life coach. The audience roared with laughter. Then he added some math that hurt. The man who got rich playing rebels and gangsters now cries because people stopped trusting CNN. The crowd loved it.
I read that article that you sent me about the last nights of John Belushi and how De Niro was there and just basically partied with him and then split. And it's just like, that's now I just think of him as a really stupid guy.
Well, he's got The Irishman coming out. That looks pretty good.
I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah, we should go see it.
De Niro once played cool mobsters who handled enemies quietly. Now he threatens to punch people on TV, thinking that'll fix America. Honestly, I've seen harsher Yelp reviews about soggy tacos. And yes, we all respect his movie history, but now watching his interviews feels like watching someone argue with a chair. The passion's there, but the chair's winning. Gutfeld smiled and said, De Niro acts like he's the hero saving America, but every rant sounds like a deleted scene from Meet the Fockers 3, the midlife meltdown. Even people who agree with him whisper, "Bob, take a nap, man." Gutfeld wasn't angry. He was having fun. Roasting De Niro had become sport.
Time to reflect on how Americans fought and died so that we may enjoy the freedoms guaranteed to us by a democratic government. A government that, as President Lincoln said, of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Under Trump, this kind of government will perish from the earth. I don't mean to scare you. No, wait, maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms.
It's like watching slow-motion drama when a grown man throws a tantrum and calls it art. Then, boom, Gutfeld dropped the final line. De Niro thinks he's America's conscience, he said. But he's not. He's that voicemail you skip, the ad you mute, the grandpa who tells the same story, now just wearing a resistance t-shirt. It was brutal, but true. De Niro didn't lose because of politics. He lost because he mistook shouting for wisdom and fame for truth. Gutfeld came armed with jokes sharper than De Niro's reviews and clearer than any slurred rant he's given. De Niro came with emotion. Gutfeld came with humor, facts, and reality. In the end, it wasn't just Greg who won. It was the truth itself. And poor De Niro never saw it coming.